Hi there, my name is Angie Kolen,
And I'm Josh Reed.
and we're both from St. FX, and we've just given a Maple League Better Together series presentation on active learning. And we'd like to share with you one of the techniques that resonated well. It's called the Living Likert Scale. So in this technique, I want you to think about answering this question on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being completely agree and 5 being completely disagree. How important do you think it is to have movement incorporated into the classroom? So if you were here, you would have responded with your number in the chat box. And then we talked a little bit about how this can be used. So this Living Likert scale can range a number from 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 9, with a number in the middle to allow the students to waffle, because sometimes they're just not really sure how they feel about it. I'll then ask students to respond on their own. Sometimes I'll call on my daily experts. So those are individuals I've identified beforehand, or just ask for volunteers to the front of the room to come show literally on a scale with 1 on one side of the room, 7 on the other side of the room, where they stand. And then I'll ask those, those that have given a 1, why do you completely agree? On the 7s, why do you completely disagree? And then maybe a little bit in the middle. Sometimes I'll just ask the students to stand up if you're a 1, stand up if you're a 7, just so that I can get a range of where everybody is in class. And I will do each number so everybody gets a chance to move, because remember, when you add movement, you get a little more blood to the brain, and we're able to think, and we're revived and ready to participate in class. Sometimes I'll ask students to find somebody with an opposite number. That's another way to discuss their responses. Really, what I'd like at this point is for Josh to share what this has been like in class and how he feels about how it works in the classroom.
Yeah, no, I've experienced this many times in class with Angie, and both in the Leadership Academy too. And it works really well at dividing their class into obviously their opinion on a given matter, and allows you to then back up your opinion and explain why. And in that, like Angie said, if you're paired up with a 1 and a 5, I completely agree and I completely disagree. It allows you then to have that conversation and be open-minded and hearing the other side of the story of, I completely disagree because I had this experience, or this was my opinion because, and then I get to go and counteract that and kind of have that conversation with a classmate. And even in a bigger group too, it might be all the 1s and all the 5s together. So it allows you to be really open-minded, creates conversation, creates that dynamic class, and also gives you an opportunity to create an argument, and back it up. You have to be able to explain why, and be willing to accept that, it might not be the popular opinion, and those are really like great things. And a really great way of connecting with the class and seeing a difference of opinion.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful, and I think in that regard it helps us to have empathy for others and to see a little bit the other side, and understand why there is different ways of thinking. And you'll notice that the questions that I use don't really have definitive answers, and so it allows for a little bit of that differences in opinion. There are some risks and challenges that can happen with this. So what if the students don't want to speak in class? So I don't do this in a first class. I wait till I know the students, so I'm careful in only asking those that I know are willing to speak. What if enough don't come to the front of the room when you want to see this Living Likert scale? I've actually not had this happen before. Again, it's because I wait until I know the students, and I try to make it encouraging, and I'll say, just because you're up there showing us where you stand, you don't have to speak. It's your opportunity to speak. Can be a little more time consuming. You need to be prepared for this, but perhaps this, seeing it as time consuming, we should recognize the depth that is added to the class. And the other thing is, sometimes not everybody will get a chance to speak. It might be that I have 10 people in the front of the room and not all 10 can speak. Or even when I'm asking individuals in my class, and I do this in a class of 60 to 70 students, they don't all get a chance to say why they chose their number, but they get to be part of this conversation, which was a comment one of the participants in this workshop shared.